Grant Rumley joins us now from Washington. He's a research analyst at the Foundation for the Defense for Democracies, a nonpartisan policy institute based in Washington. Grant, thank you so much for joining us. So,
thank you for having me.
Let's start. What do you think could be, or who do you think could be behind this attack?
Well, at the moment, we don't know. And I think the major concern is that there are multiple potential parties that could be involved in this. We've seen groups affiliated with ISIS claim credit for the attack. We've seen other radical jihadi groups praise the attack. What we don't know right now is if that extends past the rhetoric into actual logistical support, if there's any connections there. As the police engage in this manhunt for the other plotters of the attack, I think we'll get more information.
We're also hearing reports, questions as to whether or not it was intended for the museum or these attacks were intended possibly for government buildings, because I understand that they were currently looking at anti-terrorism legislation in their government, in their parliament. So how big is a problem, terrorism, for Tunisia?
Well, I think if you're a terrorist in Tunisia and you're looking to inflict the most damage on the government and the economy, you couldn't have picked a more devastating target than the Bardo Museum. The museum is located near Parliament. Parliament was in session today. They shot at Parliament. They were in the museum. They killed these foreign tourists. And the tourism industry in general makes up a large percentage of Tunisia's economy. It's one of their main lifeboats. So Tunisian officials regularly flout the importance of having the economy, having the tourism sector hitting all cylinders, but also the concern they have as of late has been this radical, homegrown development of extremists in their own country.
Grant, I know that you're an expert in this region. So what does these attacks, everything that's happened today, what does it mean for the region?
Well, I think for Tunisia, it's a moment of uncertainty. It's their largest terror attack, one of their largest terror attacks. It's certainly one of the more devastating attacks. And I think a lot of Tunisians are going to point to other elements within the region as the perpetrators behind this. Certainly, many of them will look at something like the Libyan civil war, which has spilled over when it killed 20 Egyptian cops, and Egypt responded with airstrikes. It certainly seems to now be, causing instability in their southeast border. If there's any connections to any of these terror groups in Libya with today's attack, I think the lines will become even more clear. But it's a region that's increasingly unstable, and Tunisians are pointing at this and worrying that this will come home to roost. And
there are reports that other attackers may still be on the loose. How confident are you that the authorities in Tunisia will be able to find these people?
Well, the Tunisian intelligence system and the Tunisian army has historically had an inward focus. They have been more concerned about domestic threats and less, let's say, forward about threats outside of the borders. This might change that calculation. If these attackers are linked to groups outside of Tunisia, then we might see Tunisia take a more active stance and a more sort of get involved a lot more in the fight against terrorism.
Grant Rumley joining us from Washington, a research analyst at the Foundation for the Defense for Democracies. Really appreciate your insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.